Today's video is all about Beam, a gaming ecosystem with a lot to offer. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals, looking into the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins looking for opportunity. And the question is Beam an opportunity? Guys, we're going to be doing a deep dive. We're going to be looking into this project, again, trying to figure out whether it should make it to our portfolio. Guys, we're going to be using the website. We're going to be using some of the documentation, and we're going to be looking into some of the details and ultimately checking off if, again, some of those attributes are bullish enough so that we can, be scaling in. Should we be becoming a part of the ecosystem? Should we be expecting some good bullish things out of the team? So let's begin. What we see here is a landing page, a very interesting, nice and creative landing page. The website is quite creative. I appreciate, the creativity aspect of it. We see that there's a couple of gateways to various aspects of the project. It does look like an operating system, and if you saw the beginning of the intro, it said Beam OS, and that is a big part of what I see here. Is technically what they're trying to build is an ecosystem, but an ecosystem that resembles pretty much an operating system for gaming, which for me is a great marketing idea, marketing tool, let's say. And let's begin. Let's see what's going on with this operating system. We have a Beam companion app. The Beam companion app is right here. You can launch that and you can see what that is. We got the App Store, Beam Classic. You got some things going on here. Take control of your game assets and collectibles. Share collectibles with friends. Link, swap, secure game assets on Beam. Good stuff here. So we begin. That's pretty neat. I like that. Sphere Market, Beam's native marketplace. Again, for the marketplace to be able to trade various assets, whether it be NFTs or any other tokens or anything like that. We got a marketplace here. It is immutable ZK EVM, so EVM compatible, and Beam. So we can see that nice graphics, Polygon, immutable. We got Beam, we got Avalanche. So basically, multi-chain, cross-chain capabilities. So all good. Currently minting a few Beam Drive, Valiant, Vibrant Badge. A lot of good stuff here. So you can see that there's an ecosystem happening here. So we got an NFT type of marketplace. Pretty good. Let's go back to the website. We got a Beam hub, everything gaming in one hub. Let's take a look what's going on here, just to give us a sense of what they're offering us here. Cookies, sure, why not? Let's allow cookies. A new era of gaming. Join today and receive free 400 XP. So you get to register. You get to discover various games. We have Off the Grid. This is just like a discovery place where you can discover the latest games within various ecosystems. So pretty good. Gamers also read, so you get some reading material. If you want to get into the gaming scene, you can find a lot of information here, which is pretty cool. I kind of like that. What else do we got here? Beam swap. So here you get an opportunity to swap. What, technically speaking, that should be, let's see, let's accept all. Why not? Manage cookies, unlock, you connect the wallet. You got to connect the wallet. I don't have a wallet to connect, but you can swap, pool, get involved in pools and bridging from different chains. You can see what we got here. So again, feel free to go check that out. You got ETH, Beam, and a few others here. A lot of opportunities, some stables, USDT and USDC. Good stuff. So we got a whole DeFi scenario happening. Good stuff. Documents, that's where we're going to kind of dig a little bit deeper into there. And then the bridge, Beam bridge, move assets to Beam, so you can easily get involved into the Beam ecosystem. And of course, providing less barriers to entry is the way to go. So that they have their own bridge is great. What's down here? We got some other stuff. I think this is just a repetition of what's above. Okay, good stuff here. Settings. And if you click this right here, you get a little bit more about Beam. You get privacy support, terms and conditions, the subnet status. We'll talk about subnets in a second. And pretty good settings. What is this? Oh, okay, you can change the appearance of your OS. Guys, pretty cool. cool stuff. I like the idea, no doubt, pretty good. All right, let's keep on going. Let's see what else we got here. So we're going to get into some of the documentation that I got, that I was able to get a hold of. And if you get into the doc section, this is the main platform, in my opinion, where you should be getting the majority of your information. And for the most part, you know, this document is well developed. It's got a lot of good information. There are some things that I wish they would have introduced or provided, and we'll get into that in a second. But you can see that we have getting started, how to become a validator. Of course, for those of you that want to get into that, start building on Beam. If they're for devs and, you know, developers want to get involved, start building on it, which is good. They provide a full SDK API scenario so that you can, you know, have an array of tools to deploy on Beam, which of course is part of what I think is the most bullish part of this L1. And we'll talk about the whole structure in a second, is the fact that they're focusing on ecosystem growth. Okay, so for me, you guys know that if you've been watching my videos, I do appreciate ecosystem growth. I put that as one of the highest priorities because ultimately it's what's going to provide more utility for the token, right? The more there is within an ecosystem, the more applications there are, decentralized applications, the more you can use that token, right? And then that gives utility and more reason to hold it and more reason to, you know, get involved. And for me, that's a value proposition on its own. So of course, we'll talk about all of this stuff in a sec. We'll get into more of the documentation that will kind of lead us into the conversation a bit more, explore the Beam ecosystem, which we kind of did already a little bit based on that, you know, that operating system, you know, GUI that we got there, and additional resources and tools. So I'm going to just kind of give you a quick outline here. This is pretty much another landing page for various aspects of how to get involved into Beam. Now, if you notice up here, you have the chain itself, and then you have the SDK. We'll kind of look at this in a second, but I'm just giving you the lay of the land of this whole document because it's actually pretty good. Let's get started here. You can see that Beam is a gaming network. Okay, so start off, it is a gaming network. It is a network that right now is across multiple chains, EVM compatible chains, as far as I'm concerned at the current moment. And in addition to that, it is leveraging the subnets on Avalanche, which is supposed to be a really good catalyst going forward for gaming. So momentarily, Beam operates as an Avalanche subnet. In this role, Beam is not just an independent blockchain, but it is part of a vibrant, interconnected network. That cross-chain capability, as being an Avalanche subnet, is very, very bullish, right? Being able to transfer Beam across different chains that are EVM compatible is super bullish in my opinion. It's something that is a great value proposition for you know, the interoperability of you know, the utility of the asset. So for me, that's really good. Let's keep on going down. What else do we got? Proof of authority. So this is where things get a little bit interesting because in developer preview mode, Beam employs a reputation-based consensus method termed proof of authority. I've seen this before, enhancing with the Snowman protocol. This setup entrusts a select group of reputable authorities to authenticate transactions, thereby safeguarding the blockchain's integrity. So the better you are, let's say the more reliable you are, the better, the more you become part of the consensus, let's say, procedure. Okay, so the proof of authority model emphasizes the value of validators' reputation. So that's basically what it is, which is good. It rewards people for high quality, right? The better the quality, the more value you provide, the more authority you have, which is good. The role of the Beam token. This starts to get a little bit interesting because lately what I've been kind of emphasizing the importance for, especially when we do research and we start looking and comparing different projects, is to, you know, remove the project itself from the token. Because there's one thing that if the project is doing very well and it has good value and lots of, you know, good utility, but what about the token itself? What is Beam, the ticker BEAM? What is it used for? And this is what's so important to kind of like, you know, differentiate, because a lot of projects, they don't even have good token utility. Well, I'll tell you this, Beam is not bad. They got everything that you kind of expect from an L1. You know, a lot of majority of the case is transactions. So current use within the Beam network is to pay for transactions. Guys, it's a L1. This is, for the most part, this is what we should expect from an L1, just transactions and and ultimately a burning mechanism, which they do, which we'll talk about in a second. And then more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but just an addition, guys, it is a DAO. So ultimately, the Beam token is used for governance. So the more tokens you hold, the ability for you to vote and request certain proposals and so on and so forth is definitely available to you. So making it a decentralized autonomous organization. So we have a decentralized currency, which is Beam, and then the organization itself is the authority is decentralized via the voting mechanism within the governance So which is very, very bullish. And going on with tokenomics, we'll talk about how the token itself, as far as distribution goes, is also decentralized because ultimately the majority of the tokens are already in distribution. So that kind of coupled up in one big package is pretty good tokenomic wise for the Beam token. Okay, so we'll talk more. We'll get into it a little bit more. I'm gonna keep on scrolling through all of this, and we'll keep on going at it. So so the Merit Circle DAO. Okay, now that we're seeing the Merit Circle, okay, because I got to say this, the reality is that there's a little bit of a confusion here with the cases that prior Beam was Merit Circle, and they've transitioned and they rebranded to Beam. And I think that the whole transition and all of that was somewhat successful. Okay, it just feels like some of the documentation, still some of the marketing, some of the websites, even some of the LinkedIn pages and things to that effect are still with that Merit Circle branding. Okay, which rebranding does take time to get all the little details, but I do see a lot of this Merit Circle talk throughout the packaging of this software. So as a software solution, I think the branding needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I think that this documentation could maybe use a bit of an update, but nonetheless, it is still very valid. A lot of the information, majority of the information here is very valid. Just keep in mind, Merit Circle is the old project, and MC, the old ticker, is no longer in play anymore, which leads me to the next topic of conversation, is that there are a few people out there still lingering holding the Merit Circle token, and they are quite salty at the current moment because ultimately their token is pretty much they're lost. The Merit Circle is lost, right? There's no more migration, there's no more swapping over and things like that. So technically they lucked out. The team gave them a lot of time to get that resolved, for them to switch over and to basically migrate into the Beam token. A lot of individuals during a bear market or whatever just kind of buy and hold it and walk away. And of course, it is expected for them to get involved and to still be a part of the community to know what's happening. But nonetheless, I wish the team would have figured out a way. Again, technically, I don't know if this is even possible, but it would be awesome to see a way where maybe the Merit Circle token wouldn't have, become useless or not being able to be transferred indefinitely. Like maybe what is the difference? I really don't know, but again, let me know in the comment section below what your take on this is, because it's quite unfortunate that you want to lock and load, you want to buy and put it away for a good, and that's encouraged, right, to hodl through and just put it on the wallet and just forget about it, because ultimately that's bullish. But then at the same time, if you forget about it, you might have a scenario where this happens, okay, where you basically your old token becomes obsolete, okay, so it becomes deprecated. Okay, so let's move on from that topic. Ultimately, going forward, the learning here is you got to keep up with the team, join their socials, and pay attention, because this is the name of the game here. Okay, so let's move on. Connect to Beam. What else do we have here? Connect to Beam. You got some information here, how to connect wallets. You can use MetaMask, which is obviously the main wallet out there nowadays, but there are other wallets, of course. Gas token. So primarily Beam is a gas token, but I feel like in my opinion, it's kind of like the actual token itself, I think it's underrepresented when it comes to the DAO and the governance. I would have loved it to have a little bit more information with regards to that, but I think that's a great value proposition that could have been boasted a little bit more. But here it talks to you about how to get Beam. and so on, the network fees, and which is pretty self-explanatory. What else do we got? The nodes, if you want to get involved there, for a Beam node, validator, delegation, and build on Beam, your different accounts, the Beam ecosystem. So I'm flying through this because really this is if you want to get involved from that perspective. Right now I'm focusing on, look, are we buying the token? Is it bullish? So far it's pretty good, right? We got everything that we kind of need so far. We got external tools, documentation guides, Beam swap, okay, Explorer, bridge. So we got a Beam swap, we got the bridge. That's one thing also that we I didn't see at the in the GUI in the front page, is that they got their own Explorer. We saw Sphere, we saw the Beam OS in general. This is the main landing page that we saw already. So discover every tool. The only thing that I didn't see was the Explorer. I may have missed it, but I don't think so. And then we do have some other resources, a glossary, and so on. So not bad. Okay, so it's not bad. We're given pretty much everything except one thing. And I'll be honest, one thing that I was really hoping to see here, and this is something that I really, when I do deep dives, I look for tokenomics, and I look for, token distribution, vesting schedule, unlocks, and things like that. And this is what is missing here. This is what is missing. Now, I feel like the team acknowledges that perhaps that needs to be added here, and this is probably the intention in the near future. I guess they're coming around with it since the migration into Beam. I guess they didn't have, put it in on their checklist, but ultimately I think that's what needs to, because I've seen a lot of people ask about the tokenomics and token distribution at the current moment. In my opinion, although I'll let you know it's not that important, although it is important, it's not that important, because a lot of the tokens, the majority of them are already in circulation, which means that there's no risk of dilution. So how important is it? I'm saying it is still important, but don't think about it as a very risky scenario, because without it, we know that the circulating supply is pretty much, a lot of the tokens are already in circulation. Okay, so let's put that on hold for a sec, because you can see that really there's nothing there at the current moment. Now, SDK, we got all kinds of information of, again, back to that ecosystem growth, guys. You got SDKs, you got APIs for and everything that you need if you want to get involved as far as the dev goes. They got things, tools and things to help basically deploy applications. We got sessions, operations, transactions, asset, marketplace, exchange, different APIs, player APIs, automation APIs, and so on for the SDKs, and different documentation regarding errors and references and so on, companions, and all kinds of stuff here that could definitely help developers, again, back to that ecosystem growth. Okay, so I'm wondering if there's even an ecosystem a program for new projects that want to come in and so on and so forth, to provide that, a bit of support or anything like that, like an incubator program or something. Like, again, it would have been nice to see a token, some sort of, plan with regards to where the liquidity is going to be placed in the next little while. And that goes on to the next topic. I would have also appreciated a roadmap. The project is really laid out fairly nicely, I'll admit, but the fact is that these minor details, and sometimes they're much more than minor, right? Because when we're talking about token allocation and where they're being all the tokens are being placed, it is risky. But in this case, okay, it's not risky, but at least give us, a roadmap or something. Where are we focusing in the next little while? Now, I'm glad to say that the objectives here is build and deliver, which, of course, we rather a development team, build and deliver. For me, obviously, having a team that delivers is much more bullish than having a white paper with a roadmap and not having any delivery. Of course, that's worse. But ultimately, I like a roadmap to just give me an idea, even quarterly, to let me know, like, at least let us know where we're going with things in the next little while. What's the main objectives in the next little while? Where we allocating our resources, whether it be human resources, capital, whatever the marketing strategy, just so that we know like where we are going as a community, and that allows even the community members to get on board and prepare for such events and for such ambitions, right? So I think that's a good thing, to show us a little bit of a pathway, and it doesn't have to be down to the date or the hour or anything like that. Quarterly, just okay, within the next quarter, this is what we're trying to emphasize, this is what we're trying to achieve. Now, I know the risks there, which is basically accountability. The risk is, and trust me, as a developer myself, I understand how this stuff works, right? Deadlines don't always get met, and it's not like the lack of effort. It has nothing to do with the lack of effort sometimes. It just happens, and the way deadlines are very hard in software. So the reality is that, you know, when you don't meet the deadline, you see a lot of volatility, a lot of emotions, and all of that. And this is their strategy to avoid all of that. We deliver when we're ready, and we're going to develop, and we're going to deliver. And they've been proving that they develop and they deliver. So again, the trend is your friend. The trend is that they're developing and delivering. So maybe that's enough, right? So we'll talk more about this in a sec. There's a little bit of everything that I'm going through here and what's going through my mind. I'm just, you know, kind of sharing. But again, that's what I'm looking for. I would like a token distribution that would be awesome, with clarity as to where the tokens are going and who's holding and so on and so forth. And in addition to that, a vague roadmap would be awesome. Okay, so that's that. Pretty good documentation here. We do have, again, back to this announcement, migration, this thing, guys. Back to this. I see the logo, guys. You see the logo? Make sure that you are buying the correct token if you are looking to get into Beam. This is one thing that I'm definitely going to say right now, because you can see that rainbow smacking your face. That rainbow is super, super important, because there's another project that is very similar. And to be honest, there's interchangeability between aggregators like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko and certain exchanges, where sometimes this token is listed as BeamX and Beam. Okay, and there's another project called BeamX and Beam as well. So you have to make sure that if you are going to be buying, that you're buying the correct token. And the correct token, the best way to identify it is by looking at the rainbow. Honestly, I brought it up to the team. Some of them said, oh, I think it's not a big deal. I think it is a big deal, because I'm hearing a lot of people on my end, on the grassroots level, basically saying, like, which token is it? Which token? And it's hard to really, you know, figure it out. So a couple of ways you can look at it. You can look at the contract address. You could look at, of course, the logo. It's clearly, this is the logo. It is a rainbow. And then going on from there, a good indicator is the price. Take a look at the price. If it matches on what trading views showing, and so on and so forth on other platforms, if the price matches within a few cents, then it's most likely that it is the correct one. But again, do your due diligence, guys. Make sure you're not buying the wrong one, because this is the one with the rainbow. Okay, so now that I'm going on side notes here, because I want to share all my experiences with you guys. There's a treasury, and I'm assuming that this is for the DAO. This has been updated September 30th, 2024, which is pretty good. Again, the treasury is governed by DAO usually, and I'm assuming that's the case. We have some investments, cash, liquidity, so very transparent here, very transparent with regards to the treasury. Venture investment, cash, you can see lots happening, transactions, Aether, another big involvement here with Aether and some other games, Barachain. So there's a lot happening here, guys. Again, do your research, get involved with the DAO if that's what you're interested in. Go ask questions, go get involved with the community. And speaking of the community, okay, so this is where the interesting part is. Okay, so I joined their Telegram. By the way, they don't have a Discord for the project itself. They have a Telegram. Now, they do have a Discord, but for the gaming aspect of Beam, but not for the Beam aspect itself. So I joined their Telegram. Interesting group, guys. Very, very interesting group. I'll be honest. It's going to be very hard to get a straight answer or a serious answer for some questions. I'll be honest, but they're a great group. They're just a little bit rough around the edges. If you join their Telegram, stick with them. You know, just try your best to be very, let's say, straightforward and be patient. You'll get your answers. The thing is that they're there to have fun as well. So you're going to have to understand their sense of humor, and they're trying to have fun. They're a bunch of degens ready to, mingle. But at the end of the day, you have to understand the culture. And that's one thing that when I joined, I had a little bit of an issue with, but then, you know what, I warmed up to them. I get where they're coming from. But if you're looking for a very valid information, like if you're a noob and you really want some clarification, you're going to have to be very patient and stick with it. Okay, guys? So Telegram is the place to be for this project. And I'm questioning whether maybe a Discord might be useful, right? Because ultimately you can separate conversations, serious conversations with fun and game conversations, community building conversations that are a lot of fun and all of that. I appreciate all of that, but sometimes there are individuals especially as we're seeing retail market come in. They're asking serious questions, and a lot of them are a little bit intimidated about a lot of this. They don't even know how to use a MetaMask. They don't even know much about what a DAO is or anything like that. And a lot of them are coming in for education. And as a software solution, the reality is, for sales and getting people involved, a big part of getting people confident is educating them about Beam. And sometimes a bit of seriousness, a bit of professionalism is definitely useful. So from a marketing perspective, I don't know if it's possible, maybe a different, channel for Telegram or something like that. But, I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. I ultimately believe that the retail investor needs to be taken care of at this current moment, especially if you want their capital. So that's where I'm coming from. So the community's awesome. Just understand that their sense of humor, pure degens, ruthless. All right, let's move on. Speaking of community, the leaders of this community, lots of talent here. Marco, he's active on the Telegram. I appreciate his activities. It's not very often that you see, lead members of the teams get involved. So he's the co-founder, CEO. Tommy, I haven't seen him there. I'm not sure, but he definitely fully docs team. I would like to mention that fully docs. And Theo, COO. I'm assuming this is all still valid and up to date. These are the head team members. However, if you go on the LinkedIn and you look at the Beam page, guys, the whole team is doxed. Everybody is clear and transparent here. Okay, so this is actually a good thing, particularly with the fact that you don't see again the token distribution and all of that. But I'm going to talk about the token distribution in a second, because it's super important that we get the whole package here, because I did mention the token distribution is not that risky, so don't worry about that too much. We'll get there in a second. But this team is definitely here. You can see a lot of good talent, software engineers everywhere, Web3 gamer enthusiasts and computer engineering, and all you see is engineer and lots of good talent. And I would say that, even the main dudes here, again, Marco, Theo, and Tommy, I think those are the main guys there. Let me just go through Theo here. You can see that, okay, maybe I'm questioning where his professionalism is, let's say where he comes from a professional aspect. I can see he's a founder of Chaser Self-Employed. I can see that he's a founder here, junior sales representative. He seems more like a businessman, which seems great. Obviously, every business needs someone that knows how to navigate the industries, and you can see it's a sports betting and things like that. Betting game, it's a game. So this is probably where he's, putting a little bit of his effort into as well, but pretty good. He's full-time employed with Merit Circle. Again, Merit Circle is Beam. This just needs to be updated, in my opinion, so we can be very cohesive, but pretty good. Okay, so that's awesome. Then you have Tommy, co-founder, Merit Circle again. And I see Flow Ventures. So he's a co-founder here at Flow Ventures. And I don't see anything really tech-based on the first two. Right, so again, venture capitalist, maybe a community manager type of thing, business guy, knows how to get things going. Applied science university. Again, I'm wondering how he got involved into crypto in general. That would have been a nice thing to see. Then we move on to Marco. Marco, I think, is right now, he's the chief of marketing here. He's the guy who's leading the way for marketing. And I think marketing is a very, very important aspect of any project. So Beam, he's updated his thing. He's a read-only profile. He's a high-demand dude. Decentralized autonomous organization with the mission to maximize value across different games in metaverse. Guys, I forgot to mention one thing, and I might as well say it right here. One of the main objectives here for Beam, and is that it wants to be chain agnostic, which is super important, because ultimately it is not focusing or being, focusing or sticking to one chain. It's going where the gamers are at. And the gamers are pretty much going on many platforms, on many chains. We don't know where the future holds, if there's going to be one chain or not. But again, they have their own chain, but a subnet of Avalanche, giving them their own, iteration of the Avalanche boilerplate, which is good. But ultimately, it's going where the gamers are at, and that's a great strategy. So I'm glad that he has a really good a good description here of what Beam is and up to date and all that. Self-employed. Okay, he's got something going on here with blockchain startups, so he's more involved. I can see that he's more involved in the blockchain. Graduation, internship, community marketing. This is where things start to look interesting for me, because he's a marketing guy. He looks like he's a marketing guy, and the reality is we know how far marketing goes. Okay, we know, especially now as we see the market waking up, this dude is probably going to be the man of the match in the next little while, if he's going to lead the team or the project in the right direction. So I'm bullish on this. But again, I'm going to go back to the team here, and I noticed that the core members are not really engineers and software, but they have a lot of guys here. So, and it's a fat team. There's a lot of team members here, lots of talent all over the world, a lot of good stuff here. So I'm confident here. I'm confident with the team. So good stuff. Now let's move on. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Like, honestly, it was a pretty easy deep dive here. Again, I would have liked to get a little bit more into the tokenomics and stuff, but there's not much really to say other than this, that there is some safety here, and we'll talk about that with the overall summary. Guys, I do prepare this for you guys. I'm going to release it on the socials, so we might as well give this a quick chat, and then we'll take a look at the price chart. At the current moment, we do see that there's some really good things in the ecosystem. Now, of course, it's a new project. It's not that new, to be honest, not that new, but you can see that crypto in general is new, and gaming in itself is a new concept. It's a newer narrative that in fact has been a bit quiet in the last little while. So we got to also keep in mind that, you know, they're still in the growth phase, but given their age, 10 out of 10, guys, they got a lot going on. And I think that this SDK for gaming development, for me, is a little bit undervalued. I think that should be front running center. I know that it's hard to sell because from a marketing perspective, retailers don't really care, but people like me that understand that, you know, ecosystem growth is super important. You know, having support for development is important, because then ultimately you get more applications in the ecosystem. Right now you got Beam, AMM, a swap, a DEX, Beam, Layer 0 bridge, mainnet, subnets, explorers, and there's so many more. The Beam OS gateway, that whole thing that I showed you in the beginning, Sphere, you got the NFT marketplace, and the subnet explorer for the AVAX you know, subnets chain. Pretty good stuff here. I like the ecosystem. Utility pay, basically it's to pay for all transactions, like a gas fee within the ecosystem. Guys, very typical. It's the question is, how much gas are we going to have to spend to use the utilities? Okay, and it all depends on how many utilities there are, and that's why I like emphasizing ecosystem growth, because the more we have in the ecosystem, the more transactions that happen, and the more gas that gets paid, and then, you know, ultimately we see burning, because there is a burning mechanism, and we'll talk about that. In fact, I wish there was more information, because the little information that I found on the documentation basically didn't give you a real mechanism or explanation of the mechanism. What is happening there with the burning? Burning is a very hot topic for a lot of people, especially around last year, this time, or a year and a half ago. That was the buzzword. Is there a burning mechanism? Well, there is, and that for me is a great talking point, because we reduce supply over time, and a reduction of supply with a strong demand, it results in, you know, an increase in price. So that's a good thing. So I like the gas, the fact that it is a typical utility token paying for gas, but then again, the governance for the DAO. If you want to get involved in the community, you want to get involved in, you know, proposals and voting, and the more tokens you hold, the more. So this is a very typical utility. Now we're going to rely on the ecosystem to provide more utility for the token. That's basically what we're waiting for, and this whole relationship for me is what shows Beam to have a great future. Okay, so there's a lot more to be said. Again, guys, this is a deep dive that just gives you a quick overview, or else this video is going to be 5 hours long. Roadmap, no roadmap. I'm going to be clear, there's no roadmap, but their develop and deliver approach has been working for them. As you can see, they have a robust ecosystem already, so they are developing, and they are you know, delivering. The question is, do you believe in the trend being your friend? Are they going to continue developing and delivering? We have no reason to expect otherwise. So why really do we need a roadmap? I say yes. Okay, I like roadmaps. It doesn't have to be specific to the day. It's just a general quarterly. This is where I'm putting my efforts in the next 3 months, and this is where the team is going. This is where the community should be focusing. These are where early stakeholders are going. This is where, if you're getting involved in the project and being a token holder, this is where we're going to go with things and interact and get involved. That's how I look at it. And there's lots of interviews and AMAs that explain the future of Beam. The team is very active, and I appreciate that. So not hiding or shy from interviews and speaking their mind with regards to the future. So what I am emphasizing here is that I like things on paper. I want to see things, and this is my opinion, guys. Of course, this is my opinion. I want to see a document that says this is where we're going, with check marks. And this is where a lot of the new retail markets, they're actually looking for this as well. So I'm just letting everybody know that it could be a very informal approach to explaining where they're going. However, I do appreciate a formal roadmap. Okay, so a little bit of accountability goes a long way, just a little bit. The team, as I mentioned, solid marketing experience, large team, lots of talent. There's no need to emphasize more than that. I feel like if there is going to be a team, you can see all those people there, those talented people on the LinkedIn. I feel like they have enough to get this project going. Socials, pretty interesting, I'll say. Everything's doing pretty good. You can see they got a decent amount of followers. In the last 30 days, they're up 123% in follower intake, which means that they're picking up traction. The amount of posts, guys, 428 posts for the last 30 days. In 30 days, they basically posted 428 times. Yes, it's down 6%, but who cares? Because the reality is they post like crazy. So from a social marketing perspective, they're on point. Yeah, we can't expect them to be cranking out posts more than this. This is more than one a day. More than one a day. There's a lot happening here. Okay, so this is good from a social perspective, but then you're probably wondering, why am I giving 8? And I'll talk to you guys more as I summarize, because there's other little things that we need to talk about. Tokenomics. So again, I want to emphasize the importance of this. 85%, according to CoinGecko, 85% of the tokens are in circulation. Okay, so we don't really have to worry too much about unlocks, investing schedules too much, because the reality is the majority of the tokens are already out there, and the rest of them, the few that are left are locked up until 2026, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm going to give you more details in a moment. Okay, so this is super important, because I know we run the risk when we don't see the documentation. It is risky, but the bottom line is the numbers. 85% are already out there. So even if there are some unlocks in the next little while, we don't have to worry too much. Now, I'm just going to say, it would be nice to have a clear documentation of all of this. So there is some risk, but the majority of it is gone given the circulating supply. Burning mechanism, I would love to know more. That's so bullish. Like, of course, being a deflationary mechanism to bring down the amount of supply over time means that ultimately it's going to put pressure on the price to go up. That's bullish. And as the transactions happen, a certain percentage of the tokens are going to be burnt. But what's the percentage exactly, and how does that going to work? Of course, I would like to know more. Token distribution is not clear. I mentioned that many times. I'm not going to harp on that. We need more of that documentation there. Relationships, guys, I may have missed some. There are so many, and the ones that people are really focusing on, majority is WAGMI Games. That was a gaming project that was talked about quite a bit about a year ago or so. Then Superverse, of course, many of us know Superverse and who's behind Superverse. It's bullish, no doubt. We have UFO Gaming, Immutable ZK EVM for their NFT marketplace and all of that, and there's more. I'm sure there's more. The thing is that with right here is bullish. Okay, and we got good relationships out there. Give it 10 out of 10. Marketing relationships, if you want to call them marketing relationships, if you want to call them gaming type of infrastructure or ecosystem relationships, definitely really bullish. So I appreciate this. This is very bright right here. And then exchanges, the only reason I am not giving it 10 out of 10, which is because there's a possibility that it could get listed on Coinbase, and then it would give it 10 out of 10. But you know how I always say, guys, sometimes a low score in this category is actually an opportunity also. But in this case, it's not necessarily the case because we got tons of liquidity everywhere, which is also a benefit because you know that ultimately, you know, when you feel like you want to sell, which at this moment is not a selling time on any asset across the crypto space right now. We're seeing lots of green. Now's the time to be prepared to ride the rocket to the upside, right? So we shouldn't be thinking about selling anything, but at the end of the day, liquidity is available everywhere, and you got Binance, Upbit, BitTrue, Bybit, Mexi. You pick your place, you got it. Ultimately, and of course, Blowfin. You know, guys, if you're looking for an exchange, I got a Blowfin link in the description. I think a lot of these are great exchanges. But ultimately, what about a Coinbase listing? And if it gets listed on Coinbase, yes, this will go 10 out of 10, but we'll also get a pump in the price, right? That's usually what happens. We get volume, we get more exposure, and Coinbase is like a cherry on the top for a lot of projects. So still really good, just highlighting the opportunity that still exists to make it a 10 out of 10. Think about it like that. Okay, so what is Beam? Beam right now, honestly, this is outdated. I couldn't keep up with the price. It's been pumping. It's been doing pretty good. I think it went up a few percent, but you know, this is a general idea of where we're at right now. It could be at a 2 cents right now, but the market cap right around $1 billion. Okay, so it is a little large, but it's an ecosystem. It's a L1. It's a lot. There's a lot happening. So market cap wise, you got to think about its utility. Is it going to offer a lot more in the future? And if it's going to offer a lot more, expect the market cap to be a lot more valuable in the future. So I'm thinking about that. Trading volume, I would like a little bit more, and I think that we could be getting it again in the last 24 hours or so. We've been seeing a bit of spike in price action. I'm going to show you the charts in a second because it's looking really spicy. I like the way that the chart looks at the current moment. And again, that supply 85% is already out there, so we don't run the risk of any, you know, dilution of the price if there's going to be any unlocks or anything like that. But again, max supply, fully diluted, you can see it's still young, guys, and the fully diluted ratio to you know, market cap is very tight, which means again we don't have that risk. So let's go to my overall verdict, guys, because I think I can provide a little bit more information here. It's an L1 gaming, Avalanche, subnet, chain agnostic. I like all of this. Okay, so this is great. No formal documentation regarding tokenomics. I know I'm repeating this, but this is my summary for those of you guys that just want to, you know, summarize at the end. Token distribution, emission, vesting, and unlocks. Okay, burning mechanism mentioned, but I would like a rate or some more detail. That would be super bullish. Burning mechanism on its own is super bullish. Remaining tokens are basically in core contributor tokens, 7.4 billion, which do not unlock before the 2026. Now, I just want to let you know that this information was given to me on the Telegram. So again, not really formal, but this is what was said to me. So again, we're not expecting any unlocks. The majority of the ones that are still left to enter circulation are basically not being unlocked before 2026, which tells you that we got the rest of the bull run to kind of feel a bit confident here that these tokens are not going to hit the market, causing the price to have pressure. So guys, it's really okay. Like, I think we're okay here. Again, 85% already in circulation, plus this looks okay, right? Little competition when it comes to L1 gaming blockchain. Very little. There's only maybe a couple blockchains out there, and because this project focuses on ecosystem growth, I appreciate this. I appreciate it a lot. Okay, team is fully doxed. I didn't mention it before, but it is fully doxed. You got LinkedIn accounts, you got everything, AMAs, you got videos, you got everything that you need to kind of get to know the community and so on. But speaking of community, it's active. Telegram is active. It's difficult to get answers, so I'm just going to repeat again. Just be persistent and understanding that sense of humor is unique amongst various communities, and a lot of the times you got to just show a little bit of patience. Strong degen community, 100%, and that is a pumpamental. Okay, I've seen them before. I've seen strong degen communities pump prices, not only because they have the strength, because they stand by their conviction. Okay, they're not in and they're not out. They're not half in and half out. They're full on in, and that's a community that you can kind of rely on to kind of get behind, right? Regardless if they're toxic or degen or whatever you want to call them, we've seen them before, and I mentioned them before, and they've always carried their price to the upside because they are convicted, and that strength is something that we can call pumpamentals. Okay, so take that as a positive in my opinion. No active Discord, I think that might be helpful because, again, you know, culturally speaking, the Telegram combines so many different personas and cultures and subcultures and so on, that maybe the Discord might be useful. I know the Discord could be a bit of a mess sometimes, and it requires a lot of maintenance and so on, but it could be useful. I'm curious as to whether people are joining the Telegram, asking a question and then leaving because they don't feel like maybe they're going to be getting their answers. And for me, from a community building perspective, I think that could be something to consider and think about. Okay, now the last topic that I got to talk about. Marketing and communication needs an update, in the sense that I think this the new Beam transition to Beam needs to be clarified. I think there's a little bit of disconnect with, I forget even what the old project name was called. It doesn't matter. This is not about the old. This is about the new. However, that's the problem, is that I feel like there's some people stuck in the old and looking at the old token and looking at the tokens that they hold. And I think something needs to happen there where, you know, people need to get over it in some way, and I think the team needs to kind of help them transition out of that, because it is bringing a little bit of negativity even on the Discord. I hung out on the Discord, on the Telegram, sorry, for the last 3-4 days, and I consistently I am seeing people enter saying the same thing, asking about the old token and the migration and this and that, and they're not happy about it. Now there has to be something that can be done to kind of, like, you know, take that away, you know, make people feel you know, understanding and so on, and move on. Another thing, again, that Beam and Beam X issue, guys, I can confirm there are a lot of people that are confused about that Beam and Beam X. I don't know what can be done, maybe a campaign or something on socials to make sure people understand that there's a difference, because there is a huge difference. One project is a totally different narrative, guys. Beam is a gaming project, where the other one is not. It's completely different, and you know, comparing the two is not fair, and you might be buying the wrong one. I don't know if anything can be done here from a communications perspective to provide that clarity for newcomers that are coming in. I remember when I first got introduced to Beam, I didn't know which one to buy, so I bought both. And that's unfortunately, now I know which one it is because I took the time to do some research, but that was like about a year later. So, you know, that's the issue, is that you need to kind of understand where different people are coming from, and noobs and new people that are entering the space don't have all this confidence and understanding that others may have that have been around for a while. Okay, now as far as my target goes, guys, you know my targets, they're not really targets, they're just projections. Let's be real about this. Beam could do even more than this, but we don't know. What I like to do is be modest. If Beam can do a 10x, guys, Beam has done very well. Now, of course, we're going to have to monitor the market. You guys know that I focus on charts quite a bit. That's primarily what I do. And I can say that if Beam can reach a $10 billion market cap, at this point, I am considering it a great contender. And at the end of the day, it could definitely move higher. But we're going to have to take it level by level. Price right now, if it hits 25 cents, I'm happy. I give this project a 9 out of 10. Again, there are some things that I wish we can tidy up here. But really, based on the narrative, we're waiting for the gaming narrative to wake up. And Beam has the potential to be one of the champions of this bull run, given that, again, it's another ecosystem very similar that we've seen to others, but with much more value for with regards to ecosystem growth. And for me, that's super important for token value, ultimately, for a long range, for a long term view. Now, again, this could be a very short-term target. Once we get there, we'll reevaluate, look at what's going on with the market ultimately, and then from there we'll go on from there, because ultimately I think that Beam could do very, very well. Their marketing efforts are very, very strong. All right, guys, I know that you're here to talk about charts as well, so let's take a look at the price action. What's going on with Beam? Beam, at the end of the day, guys, has been doing very, very well in the last little while. If you've been on the Discord, I did mention that I was buying more Beam. Why? Because it's looking spicy, guys. And in fact, we're starting to break out in the last 24 hours or so. Overnight, we've been showing a lot of strength. And let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. ultimately, I know this is a nice fresh chart, and I appreciate showing fresh charts because you can see and my mindset, exactly how I focus on different levels wise. This is the level that we need to really break out of, and I'm going to emphasize its importance by making it a little bit thicker, and then we're going to look at the bottom range. And ultimately, I kind of like this level to say, this is a nice range. This was pretty much a liquidity hunt, came down, thought people out, and then got right back into a nice level right in here. A nice structure, nice sideways. I'm going to classify it as an accumulation range. And the reason why is I want you to focus on what's happening here on the volume. Not only do we have the point of control, but we have a good fat amount of volume right here, which means that as we're making higher highs and higher lows, okay, pretty much, demand is outperforming supply. There's more buyers than sellers. This is what that means in a level of lots of volume. So I want to ask you, what do you think all these people are doing right here? What do you think they're doing? They're accumulating. What are they accumulating for? What are they preparing for? Guys, pivot point structure, very clear. We went from lower lows to lower lows and lower highs to all of a sudden making higher lows and higher highs and approaching even here, even this right here. I'm going to be very clear about this. Even here is very bullish. The fact that we broke out of this range is quite bullish right around here. And I'm going to show you why I think that's great, and make it a bit thicker. And the reason why is because you can see after this level right around 20 cents, more or less 19.8 cents, we start to diminish. The volume starts to diminish right into the zone. Okay, this is a volume gap, and this volume gap presents opportunity, the opportunity for the price to fly right through this whole zone. Now, you can see I introduced more price action left, and that's why I kind of changed its look. But if I exclude it and I just kind of do one of these, you can see that there's a little pocket right into here that is allowing the price to kind of go right back up to the next level of volume, which is all the way up here, which is not even that much, guys. The reality is it's not even that much. Look at all this volume. Look at all these goons down here that are buying in, accumulating, preparing for something. And I know what they're preparing for, this nice rounded pivot point structure to see this thing eventually explode to the upside. That's what they're preparing for, clearly, very clearly. So again, we have resistance. We're currently at resistance, but eventually I'm expecting this thing to break out. And if you look at the rest of the chart, the reality is there's not much resistance above. We have a few nodes. We got to expect peaks and valleys along the way. It's not going to go straight green candle to the upside, but this right here could be a little bit of resistance, no doubt. But compared to all the volume and all the bullish bids that it produced and accumulated at this level, I think there's going to be enough strength to eventually, let short-term traders basically take profit. Maybe it dips, maybe it doesn't, maybe it consolidates, maybe bull flag right into here. People sell, people buy, people sell, people buy. We create a bull flag and then continue. Right, and then we start talking about all-time highs, price discovery, and all of that. Right, that's that. Then people are going to come out saying, "When should I buy?" That's the most unfortunate story of trading, is that the majority of people seeing a bottom dwelling price action that's looking like this start to ask when to buy when it's all the way up here. And that's unfortunate. Then you're in price discovery. And of course, price discovery definitely can give us more upside potential. It's definitely possible. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, let me just kind of clean up some of this artwork for a second so that we can kind of gain some clarity. I'm here yapping about this, but volume looking good. Point of control right there. We're at resistance. As soon as we start breaking with strength and volume, guys, forget it. This thing's going to start to run, right? So what I'm going to do is quickly just show you extensions. Okay, so we take the high to the low and we use Fibonacci extension 1.27. These are great levels to expect to hit. Maybe a bit of resistance, maybe some sideways, maybe continuation. Why? Because we have the 1.618 golden pocket extension right above here to about 65 cents. 6.5 cents. Very bullish. But guys, we're in a bull run. This is an altcoin. Yes, it's $1 billion market cap, but we could do a lot more, right? So why not expect this to go to the 3.618, 4.618? You get what I mean? I've seen it before. I've seen it many, many times in last cycle, in the cycle before, where we've seen altcoins hit multiple extension levels. So what I'm saying is, this is why I'm very modest. I wait for level to level. I want to see it hit here. Of course, we're going to be celebrating, but I don't think that I think that a lot of the altcoins will be hitting multiple extensions, at least to 2.618, and that would be a great gainer, a great opportunity from where we are right now to all the way up to here, which is about 375% to the upside. Okay, for a nice run to the upside. Okay, now from a bearish perspective, it's very difficult even to be bearish at this current moment, given the way the market is looking. And the fact is that we're anticipating patiently for an altcoin season. And if that's going to happen, of course, like many others, Beam is going to start to run. And the question is, which is going to be the champion of the gaming narrative? I think Beam has some good potential here. Now, from a risk to reward ratio, opportunity, you're buying local tops. I got to be honest, you guys know how I do it: up, down, bearish, bullish, it doesn't matter. We just want to be prepared. The reality is anything can happen in this market, and as before, we got rejected in the zone. At the current moment, we could still get rejected and come down to the bottom of the range. It's still very possible. Obviously, the best time to buy was and still is down here, closer to invalidation of your bullish thesis. So if it comes down here, your risk to reward is absolutely healthy. Of course, I don't think that we're going to come down and hunt liquidity again. Anything is possible. I know the bears might be calling this a bear flag, where they expect, you know, a continuation down, you know, something like this, impulsive move, sideways price action, impulsive move, guys. But I don't think that's where we're at. Look at this pivot point structure. So with that being said, in my opinion, is, of course, we have to be modest on when we're trading or when we're buying, accumulating, investing, whatever you are, whatever category you fit. Buying right now, you're a breakout trader. That's the truth. And the risk that you're taking is that you're buying at resistance. You're buying at the previous lows. You're buying at pretty much, you know, at the tops, and that we already extended the tops and got a higher high. What about it coming down for another higher low? Or maybe coming down and, you know, touching the 200 daily EMA or the point of control. So DCAing is not a bad strategy. As long as you have a certain amount of capital ready to deploy, and you say to yourself, I am just going to deploy as it comes down. If we do get a retracement, I'll double down and triple down. And ultimately, the Beam project in itself, or the Beam price, will benefit from having individuals have this mindset, because as we come down to this level, we need a lot more, we need capital. We're going to need people buying the dips to hold up the price. So reserving capital for any downwards pressure that we may get in the next little while would be absolutely healthy, because that way you can deploy a lot more. And guess what? You get to basically accumulate a lot more tokens. So guys, it's a DCA zone. I would be buying and accumulating all within this level. Even right now, having a little bit of exposure just in case this thing breaks out in the next 24 hours, because you can see it's starting to look really strong. Let's take a look at some oscillators real quick. This is what I'm saying here. We see a bit of volatility, a bit overbought in the short term. Every time we got up here, we got a little bit of a retracement, as you can see, and we're pretty much there. But eventually, guys, you have to understand that this scenario is going to break. The trend is your friend until it isn't. And the trend has been sideways, sideways, sideways. But when is it going to change its mind? I can see it change its mind any moment now. Why? Look at this. Look at the trend. Look at the trend oscillator. EMA is facing up, green histogram bars at the current moment, slowly trending to the bullish control zone. As you can see, look at these EMAs, slowly moving from here to here. Guys, as soon as this thing gets into the bullish control zone, we're going to get an expansion like that. And we already got a bearish expansion down here. Now we're going to get a bullish expansion to the upside any day now. And then you're going to be the person that is missing out on the pump. And nothing is worse and as painful than missing out on green price action when you've been waiting and looking to buy dips. So don't try to be a hero and time the top and time the bottoms. DCA, guys, DCA. Now lower time frames might be higher time frames could be looking very well, really good. Also, let's take a look at the 4-day real quick. Look at the momentum here. Everything is shifting to the upside. And look how long we stayed up here. We stayed up here for a good portion of time, which means that we could stay up there for a little bit more and still maintain a very bullish overbought status while we see the green expansion. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what I'm seeing at the current moment. You see this little spike right here? You might not be able to see it. I'll zoom in as best as I can. See this little spike? That is a green expansion forming. It's the beginning of the green expansion on the 4-day. We had a bearish expansion all the way down. We had a bullish expansion to the upside. This is the beginning of a bullish expansion on the 4-day. 4-day breakouts are massive, guys. So again, don't try to be a hero. The daily, yes, is still in the chop zone. You can see that we're going sideways quite a bit. But if the 4-day continues showing strength that way, eventually we're going to see this go overbought again. And an overbought state on the daily means breakout. And as we are looking at this, wouldn't this be an ideal time to start breaking that neckline and moving to the upside? So there is bullish sentiment. There's bullish indications that now is the time to be taking risk. Gaming has taken a little bit of a pullback in the last, 6 months. And the reality is a lot of these gaming projects, including Beam, could be undervalued with regards to price. And there's opportunities to be had across the market. Guys, if I've offered you any value at all, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. I'm going to be live tonight at 8 p.m. EST talking about crypto news and price action. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.